All right, folks, buckle up and settle in. Whether you're listening to this on your commute while sipping coffee or procrastinating that one thing you should have done hours ago, this story is for you. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around till the end. Humans are terrifying, but not in the way you think. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into a tale that might just make you look at humanity and yourself a little differently. It started with the silence, the kind of silence that feels wrong, like the world itself is holding its breath. That's what the crew of the alien vessel Zarathus noticed first when they entered Earth's orbit. No welcoming committee, no defensive fleet, no desperate transmissions begging them not to attack. Just nothing. For a species as advanced as the Vraxians, who had conquered dozens of worlds across the galaxy, this was unsettling. They were used to resistance, panic, fear. But Earth greeted them with indifference. Captain Threx stood on the bridge, his tentacle-like appendages twitching nervously. "Are we sure this planet is inhabited?" he asked, his voice echoing through the sleek metallic chamber. "Yes, Captain," replied Lieutenant Zorak, whose translucent skin shimmered under the artificial light. "The scans show billions of life forms. Intelligent ones, too. Their technology is primitive, but their population density suggests they should be aware of us." Threx frowned, or at least did the Vraxian equivalent of frowning, which involved his face splitting slightly down the middle. Then why haven't they reacted? Even the most backward civilizations send out signals when they detect an incoming ship. Zorak hesitated. "Perhaps they don't see us as a threat." The captain scoffed. "Impossible. We're the apex predators of this galaxy. Every species fears us." But Earth didn't fear them. And that was the first sign something was very, very wrong. Meanwhile, down on the surface, humanity was blissfully unaware of the impending invasion. Well, mostly. A few amateur astronomers had spotted the strange object hovering above the atmosphere, but their tweets about it were buried under trending hashtags like Yeezy AI Apocalypse 2025 and Yeezy's Taylor Swift Goes to Mars. Humanity had bigger things to worry about than aliens. Inflation was skyrocketing, climate change was wreaking havoc, and everyone was still arguing over whether pineapple belonged on pizza. Spoiler, it does. Fight me. In Jakarta, a group of college students were live streaming their reaction to the latest AI-generated Bollywood movie. In Tokyo, salarymen were crammed into trains, scrolling through memes about ChatGPT accidentally leaking classified government documents. In Berlin, a retired engineer was trying to teach his dog how to play chess. And in New York, a stand-up comedian was going viral for his bit about how humanity's greatest invention wasn't the wheel or the internet. It was the ability to ghost someone without explanation. Aliens? Yeah, nobody cared. Back on the Zarathus, the crew decided to take a closer look. They sent down reconnaissance drones, sleek machines equipped with cloaking devices and advanced sensors. The drones zipped through cities scanning humans, recording their behavior, and transmitting data back to the ship. What they found was confusing. Humans weren't scared. They weren't preparing for war. They weren't even curious. Instead, they were laughing, crying, arguing, creating, destroying, loving, hating, and everything in between. One drone hovered near a park where children were playing tag. Another observed a couple arguing over whether the toilet paper roll should go over or under. A third watched a man eat an entire pizza by himself while binge-watching a show about medieval dragons. And then there was the dark humor. Oh, the dark humor. Humans joked about death, failure, existential dread, and their own insignificance in the universe. One drone recorded a teenager telling his friend, "If aliens ever invade, I hope they kill me first. I don't want to deal with student loans anymore." Another captured a meme on someone's phone that read, "Earth is the Florida of the galaxy." The Vraxians were baffled. These creatures weren't just unafraid, they were downright insane. Captain Threx called an emergency meeting. "We need to reassess our strategy," he said, pacing back and forth. "These humans, they're unpredictable, illogical. They laugh in the face of danger. They joke about their own mortality. It's like they don't care if they live or die." Lieutenant Zorak nodded. "I've been analyzing their media, their movies, their music, their literature. It's filled with stories of rebellion, sacrifice, and defiance. They glorify individuals who stand up against impossible odds. They celebrate chaos. And their history," added scientist Krell, who had been studying human archives. "It's full of wars, revolutions, and uprisings. They fought each other for millennia, over resources, ideologies, and sometimes just because they could." Threx stopped pacing. "So, what are you saying?" "I'm saying," Krell replied, "that humans are the most dangerous species we've ever encountered. Not because of their technology or their numbers, but because they're completely unhinged. They don't follow the rules. They don't surrender. They don't even know when they're beaten. If we attack them, they'll fight back. Not because they can win, but because they refuse to lose." The captain considered this. On one hand, Earth was a prime target. Its resources were abundant, its defenses were weak, and its inhabitants were small and squishy. On the other hand, humans were terrifying. Threx made his decision. "We leave Earth alone. Let them destroy themselves. They're already doing a pretty good job of it." The crew breathed a collective sigh of relief. The Zarathis turned away from Earth, its engines humming softly as it disappeared into the void. Down on the surface, humanity continued as usual. People went to work, fell in love, made mistakes, learned lessons, and told jokes. They argued over politics, cheered for their favorite sports teams, and dreamed of a better future. They were messy, chaotic, and imperfect. But they were also resilient, creative, and endlessly fascinating. And somewhere, in the vast expanse of space, the Vraxians told stories about the one planet they dared not conquer, a planet where the inhabitants laughed in the face of doom, a planet where chaos reigned supreme, a planet called Earth. But let me tell you something else before we wrap this up. The story doesn't end there. Oh no, not even close. Because while the Vraxians fled with their metaphorical tails between their legs, they weren't the only ones watching Earth. Far across the galaxy, in a council chamber so grand it made the Taj Mahal look like a roadside diner, representatives of countless alien species gathered to discuss what had just happened. The Galactic Concord, a coalition of the most advanced civilizations in the universe, had been monitoring the Vraxian expedition closely, and now they were panicking. A towering being made entirely of shimmering light slammed its appendage on the table. "This is unprecedented. The Vraxians have never retreated from a conquest before. What did they see down there?" An amphibious creature with 3 eyes and a voice like gravel replied, "Humans. That's what they saw. And if the Vraxians are afraid of them, we should be too." "But why?" asked another representative, a floating orb of plasma that pulsed with irritation. "They're primitive. Their technology is laughable. They haven't even mastered interstellar travel yet." The amphibious creature leaned forward, its gills flaring. "That's exactly why they're dangerous. They've achieved so much with so little. They've turned their planet into a global network, split the atom, and sent machines beyond their solar system, all without the kind of resources or unity we take for granted. Imagine what they'll do when they do get their act together." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. A species that thrived on chaos, that laughed in the face of doom, that turned every obstacle into an opportunity. Such a species could become unstoppable. Meanwhile, back on Earth, life continued its chaotic march forward. In Mumbai, a street vendor argued with a customer over the price of pani puri, completely unaware that his tiny cart was being observed by an invisible alien drone. In Paris, a group of artists debated whether AI-generated paintings could ever truly capture the human soul, while a cloaked ship hovered silently above the Eiffel Tower. And in Los Angeles, a YouTuber was live streaming his attempt to survive 24 hours eating nothing but protein bars, blissfully ignorant of the fact that his antics were being broadcast to a curious audience halfway across the galaxy. And then there was Ravi, a software engineer in Bangalore who had just finished a grueling day of debugging code. He sat on his balcony, sipping chai and scrolling through memes on his phone. One particular meme caught his eye, a picture of a UFO with the caption, "If aliens invade, just show them our tax system. They'll leave immediately." Ravi chuckled, took another sip of chai, and thought nothing more of it. Little did he know, that very meme had been intercepted by an alien reconnaissance team. They analyzed it, debated its meaning, and ultimately concluded that humanity's bureaucratic systems were some kind of psychological warfare designed to break the spirit of any would-be invader. It wasn't entirely inaccurate. Back at the Galactic Concord, the debate raged on. Some species wanted to quarantine Earth, to keep humans contained before they could spread their madness across the stars. Others argued for diplomacy, suggesting that perhaps humanity's unique perspective could benefit the galaxy. And then there were those who believed the only solution was preemptive annihilation. But no one could agree. Because how do you deal with a species that doesn't even make sense? A species that turns its greatest weaknesses into strengths? A species that can laugh at its own impending doom and somehow come out stronger on the other side? In the end, the Council decided to wait and watch, to observe humanity from a safe distance and hope, pray even, that they never figured out how to reach the stars. Because if they did, well, the galaxy might never be the same. And here's the kicker. Humanity had no idea any of this was happening. We were too busy living our messy, beautiful, ridiculous lives. Too busy arguing over pineapple on pizza, binge-watching shows, inventing new dances for TikTok, and trying to figure out how to fix all the problems we'd created. We didn't know we were being watched. We didn't know we were being feared. And maybe that's for the best. Because here's the thing about humans. We don't need to know we're being tested to rise to the occasion. We don't need to know we're being underestimated to prove everyone wrong. And we certainly don't need permission to dream bigger, fight harder, and keep moving forward, even when the odds are stacked against us. But before we wrap this up, let me leave you with one last thought. You see, the thing about humans is that we're not just terrifying because of our resilience or our chaos. We're terrifying because we're unpredictable. And unpredictability? That's the one thing no algorithm, no advanced alien intelligence, no intergalactic council can ever fully prepare for. Think about it. Humanity has this knack for doing the impossible. For every moment in history where we've teetered on the edge of collapse, there's been another moment where we've pulled ourselves back from the brink, sometimes by sheer luck, sometimes by sheer willpower, and sometimes by sheer stubbornness. It's like we're hardwired to defy expectations, even our own. And that's what really scares them out there, beyond the stars. It's not just our wars, or our inventions, or our jokes about student loans and pineapple pizza. It's the fact that we're constantly rewriting the rules of the game. One day, we're fighting over borders and resources. The next, we're landing rovers on Mars and sending probes into interstellar space. One moment, we're tearing each other apart. The next, we're coming together to build something extraordinary. The aliens don't know what to make of us because we don't even know what to make of ourselves. And maybe that's our greatest strength. We're a species of contradictions, fragile yet unbreakable, chaotic yet creative, destructive yet hopeful. We're the ultimate wild card in a universe that thrives on order and predictability. Somewhere, deep in the void of space, a lone Vraxian scout ship drifted silently. Its crew had been tasked with monitoring Earth from a safe distance, collecting data on humanity's progress, or lack thereof. The captain of the ship, a grizzled veteran named Krath, stared at the holographic display in front of him. It was filled with images and videos of human activity, protests, concerts, scientific breakthroughs, viral dance challenges, and a man who had somehow turned his pet cat into an internet celebrity. Krath sighed, his tentacles drooping. "I don't get it," he muttered. "How can a species be so absurd?" His second-in-command, a younger Vraxian named Yil, shrugged. "Maybe that's the point. Maybe their absurdity is what makes them strong." Krath glanced at Yil, his eyes narrowing. "Strong? They're disorganized, reckless, and half of them don't even believe their own scientists." "Exactly," Yil replied. "And yet, they survive. They thrive. They keep pushing forward, no matter how many times they stumble. Maybe we could learn something from them." Krath snorted, a sound that, in Vraxian culture, was equivalent to a dismissive laugh. "Learn from humans? Don't be ridiculous." But later that night, as Krath reviewed the latest reports from Earth, he couldn't shake Yil's words. There was something about humanity, something raw and untamed, that gnawed at the edges of his understanding. He didn't like it. It made him uneasy. But it also fascinated him. Back on Earth, Ravi, the software engineer from Bangalore, was having a strange dream. In it, he was standing on a vast empty plain under a sky filled with unfamiliar stars. A voice echoed around him, deep and resonant, speaking in a language he didn't recognize but somehow understood. "Why do you fight?" the voice asked. "Why do you struggle when the odds are always against you?" Ravi looked up at the stars, feeling a strange mix of fear and defiance. "Because that's what we do," he replied. "We fight, we struggle, we fail, and then we try again." The voice was silent for a moment, as if considering his answer. Then it spoke again. "You are a curious species, human. Perhaps too curious." Ravi woke with a start, his heart pounding. He shook his head, chalking it up to stress and too much late-night chai. But as he got ready for work, he couldn't shake the feeling that someone, or something, had been watching him. And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? We go about our lives, unaware of the ripples we send out into the cosmos, unaware of the stories being told about us in distant star systems, unaware of the beings who watch us with equal parts fear and fascination. But maybe that's for the best. Because if there's one thing humanity knows how to do, it's surprise everyone, including ourselves. So my friends, next time you feel like the world is falling apart, remember this: humans are terrifying. And that's exactly why we survive. Enjoy the rest of your day, wherever you are. And maybe, just maybe, keep an eye on the sky. You never know who or what might be watching.